Good morning. Rant one here on this beautiful morning. Yeah, so as I'm digging in more, well, what we have here is a bigger woman, and which I have no problem with. If you have a problem with it, then that's fine, but as far as we're concerned, they have a soul too. Yeah, they do. And what I seem to discover is that anybody who's bigger than you in the book is to be deemed evil and a Nephilim. Is that correct? And they're so evil and Nephilim that our forefathers supposedly keep sleeping with them. Now I have no problem sleeping with a bigger woman. If you do, that's you. If you want petite, that's on you. But especially back in those days, thinking about, I used to think, you're supposed to think and study to show thyself approved. And as a former nigger brew, I used to think to myself, Most High, if you send me on a mission to take out Nephilim and the woman, they don't have an extra digit and she doesn't have an extra row of teeth in her mouth and all she is just a bigger bitch with bigger titties, I might have a problem with flinging my sword at her because I'm attracted and the mission is tainted right there. And that's a little joke I had to myself between me and the Most High. That if I see a bigger woman, I'm gonna have a problem. I don't know about you. You go ahead, but I don't have a problem. Now we'll say it over here. A fat vagina. I don't have a problem with this. And it seems to me that some of our forefathers didn't have a problem with this either. And they procreated and they made children. Oh yes, they did. So to finish off from yesterday, from Genesis chapter 34, how Sitchem raped Dinah, right? A Hivite. What's a Hivite again? Descendants of who? Canaan. And he sprung off giants. And those are Hivites, which mean hers, and Tessers, which are Horites, which mean hairy. So they're what you consider a Nephilim, correct? So back to Dinah. Jacob's sons answered, well, this is Genesis 34, verse 13. Jacob's sons answered Shechem and his father Hamor, speaking with the guile because he had defiled their sister Dinah, and said to them, we cannot do this and give our sister to a man who is uncircumcised, for that is a disgrace amongst us. Only on these conditions we will agree with you, that you become like us, and that every man among you becomes circumcised. And then we will give you our daughters to you, and take your daughters to ourselves, and we will dwell among you and become one kindred. But if you will not listen to us and become circumcised, we'll take our daughter and go. These words pleased Hamor's son Shechem, and they thought about it. They actually thought about it, getting their dicks circumcised. They thought about this and knew the pain about it and said, yes, your daughter is worth it, and all your jewels and all, yes, your bloodline is what we want. That's worth it, I guess. So they went to a public place and told the townsmen, and everybody agreed. There's only one condition to dwell with their wives, is to be circumcised. As they circumcised their cattle, substance, and all the beasts of they circumcised everything, of course, yes. They all went to the gate of town. They all went to the gate of town and he did Hamor and his son Shechem and all males, and those who went out of the gate and were circumcised. On the third day they were all in pain, and Simeon, Levi, and two of Jacob's sons and brothers of Dinah took each sword upon the city unmolested and slew all the males. Did you see that? They use circumcision as a tool of warfare. Of course the Most High knows it's painful. Of course he knows what he's doing. Of course he's a geneticist. Of course he is. And he used it against them. So if anybody want to be like us, you better be like us, and we're going to use it against it. They use it as warfare. They waited till they was painful and slew them all. The whole village, damn near. And what did they do? They put put Hammer and his son Shechem to the sword and took Dana and Shechem's house and went away. And all of a sudden Jacob came upon and slain, plundered the town because their sister has been defiled. And they seized the flocks and herds and asses and went inside the town and outside, and the wealth of the children and their wives, and that all the houses. They took captives and booty. And booty. Okay, they slept with these monsters, these so-called monsters. They slept with them, right? And Jacob knew he was in big trouble. Big trouble. They slept with these so-called monsters that you find disgusting, which is fine. To each his own. But the point is, they still fuck with them. And they had children with them. You know they did. It's amazing what you find if you just read. If you just read. Who else lusted for a big ass bitch that wanted it so badly? That's right, Samson. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. He wanted one so badly himself. Let's see here. Judges chapter 14. Once Samson went down to Timnah, and while in Timnah, he noticed a girl among the Philistine women. On his return, he told his father and mother, I noticed one of the Philistine women, Timnah. Please go for her. Go for me. Go get her for me as a wife. And his father and mother said to him, there is not one among the daughters of your own kinsmen, among your own people, that you must take as your wife, uncircumcised. You want these uncircumcised Philistines? But Samson answered his father, get me that one, for she is that one that pleases me. I see Samson's big ass want another big ass. That one pleases me, not the midget Max. The big one, the big titties. Not the midget Max. The bigger one. The bigger one. And that's what he wanted. Whether it worked out or not. So he married that woman. But yet things fall apart, as you see in Judges 15. And she wanted to know about the riddle, and he didn't know. And she didn't know. What is sweeter than honey, and what is stronger than lion? And he asked the talisman this, and he answered the question. Have you not plowed with my heifer? You would have not guessed my riddle. The Spirit of the Lord gripped him, and he went to Ascalon and killed 30 of its men and stripped them and gave the seats of clothing to those who answered the riddle and left in rage to his father's house. Samson's wife then married one of those who had been his wedding companions. She left him after he went into a rage after somebody solved this riddle. It wasn't like she did something wrong. This first wife didn't do anything wrong. It's Samson that went to a rage. And he wanted his wife back, but he couldn't. So he tried to attack the Philistines, which he did. They tried to take him as prisoner, but Samson is too strong for that. You see, with the jaw on the ass, With a jaw of an ass of a donkey, slain 1,000 men. Until this day, they called it Jawbone Heights. And that's what Samson did. And yes, he messed with Delilah. That was the next one. And Delilah used him. That was one that deliberately used him. But the first wife, Samson went crazy. And we have to get into Samson a little bit later because he was able to take up pillars and whatnot. So I guess Samson was a midget Mac against the giant Philippines. I guess he was 5'11". I guess he was 5'11", taking down pillars with the spirit of the Most High. He wasn't their height or anything like that. He wasn't the same height as them. The Most High just put a spirit on him. So he's able to do what he did. Who else wanted a woman that was bigger than him? That's right. King David. That's right. King David. Bathsheba. That's right. That was another big ass bitch that David lusted for. How do we know she's a big ass? Because she was a wife of Uriah, the Hittite. What is a Hittite again? A Hittite. A Hittite. Sir, Hittites, Hivites, Horites. That's a Hittite from Canaan. From who? From Canaan. The line down made the Amorites. Oh, that's a big ass bitch. You expect? That's a big ass bitch. That's another big ass bitch. She was a mother of Solomon. And she was able to have 5 kids. So what are the pictures we got here of her? This looks like a bigger ass bitch right here. Oh, lusting. I wonder what they lust for. Listen, to get me out of my bed in those days, that bitch better be stacked. You better show me no petite anything to raise my sword against so-called giants and risk my fucking life. Where's the booty at? And it better be good. Look at these pictures that these old people are depicting. It's a big ass white woman, right? It's a big ass white woman. It's another big ass. It's a portrayal from Frenchmen of what she could have looked like using their imagination and their discernment. And here's a good one of a painting by William Blake. A Basima bathing. Oh, those are children. No. That's a big ass bitch. See? Those are children amongst. Those are little children. No, that's a bigger bitch. You see, all throughout the book, you're gonna find your forefathers messing with women you're not supposed to mess with. So-called giants. So-called giant women. Oh, you're not supposed to mess with them. But they are. Yes, people have a problem with that. That's disgusting. Well, you better not wake me up out of my bed for something like this. It better be worth the fucking killing. And yeah, I want a challenge. I don't want no midget Mac. So that's up to you. Hey, Solomon wanted it. Hey, Solomon wanted some, right? King Solomon wanted his fucking woman that wasn't righteous at all. King Solomon wanted his piece of ass too. We all know that. And he wanted Sheba. Who? Oh, shit. There she is. Queen of Sheba. Well, the daughter of Queen Izmi. Makeda. That is her name. She's a queen of Sheba, which is a place. She's not Sheba, queen of it. She was born in Ophir 1020 BC. Legend about Queen Sheba, Queen of Sheba, told throughout Ethiopia and several other Middle Eastern countries. She is described as a queen who was possessed the gifts of ruling woman's heart as well as a man's head and hand. She is especially remembered for her betrayal of culture gods to begin following Israelites. That's right. And Solomon convinced her into stop worshiping so-called pagan deities and to start worshiping his his monotheism deity. That's what he did. And Queen, she was a so-called Ethiopian, right? And that's from Ham, correct? This bloodline is corrupted. It's definitely from Canaan, right? Is it? Once again, that's just, remember, Canaan is cursed. Don't you ever forget that. He's cursed. So you say he's cursed, so that's from Sheba's line. That's her. And one story describes that as a child, Sheba, called Makeda, was also sacrificed to be sacrificed to a serpent god, but was rescued by a stranger, Angubu. Later, her pet jackal bit her badly on a foot and leg, leaving lasting scars and deformity when her father died in 1005. She became the queen at the age of 15. She ruled for 40 years. She was known as beautiful despite her ankle and leg. See, her ankles and legs was mauled because of the jackal. Remember that. Her ankles and legs was mauled. She had a malicious voice. Melodice's voice, was an eloquent speaker. Excellent in public relations and international diplomacy. Right. So, here's more of Queen from Wiki. What Wiki have? More of Queen. So what's this? According to Josephus, the Queen of Sheba was a queen of Egypt and Ethiopia, and brought to Israel first specimens of blossom, which grew in the Holy Land of historic name. Josephus represents Cambyses as a conquering capital of Ethiopia, changing its name from Sheba to Meroe. Josephus affirms that Queen of Sheba or Sheba came from this region, and has bore its name Sheba before it's known by Meroe. Yeah, so it had the name before the changeover. In the most elaborate account of the queen's visit of Solomon, 8th century, Togar Soron Eastern, a colloquy of Queen of Sheba. Ahopi informs Solomon, the Queen of Sheba, that Sheba was the only kingdom on earth not to subject to him, and that his queen was a sun worshipper. Yes, she was a sun worshipper. She was a sun worshiper. She used to gaze at the sun. There's nothing wrong with gazing at the sun. Exactly what she did. When the queen arrived and came to Solomon's palace, thinking that the glass floor was a pool of water, she lifted the hem of her dress, uncovering her legs. Solomon informed her mistake and reprimanded for her hairy legs. She asked him 3 riddles to test his wisdom. Well, we know why her legs was hairy, because she has scars on them. So there's no shaving of these legs. And Solomon saw that and said, I don't know about the hairiness, black woman. What is that about? And I'm sure they sat down and talked about how the jackal scarred her ass, as Solomon's massaging her long-ass, big-ass legs, enjoying himself. Correct? I mean, he's a player, right? Correct? Yeah, he cast her for the hairiness, and I'm sure she sat down and they had conversation of why my legs are hairy. And it's understandable of why now. Because she was scarred. Well, out of this relationship, so-called, Out of this relationship, they had a son. Out of this relationship, there was a son. And they already have him. So therefore, the traditions of Abraham are in Ethiopia because of that. If you want to believe in that myth. But I don't think it's a myth by now. It's not a myth. It's true. It's true. There's just her son, Minik. Yes. And he carried on the traditions of Solomon. But before that, there was two people in Ethiopia. Those who continued to worship pagan gods and those who followed Ethiopians who followed the laws of Moses. So who's right, who's wrong here? Who's right? Who's wrong? Now, this is the colloquy of the Queen of Sheba. And it says something interesting in this. Now, it states that, if I can find it, it states that Queen Sheba received a message from Solomon from the birds. And one morning, in the time the Queen Sheba was going out in the morning to make her obedience to the sun as it begins to raise. So she was about to sun gaze. She was about to do her thing and sun gaze, and Solomon brings over birds and put the multitude of birds the sun would have put forth his rays. He blocked the sun's gazing, the sun's rays from her, and had a display of birds, which she was astonished by such a sight. The queen was astonished by such a sight, immediately rent in her garment. As it took Tobin, Hopi bird suddenly descended in plain view of the Queen of Sheba. He took notice that there was a letter bound to one of his wings. So that's how he wooed her, by displaying the servitude of birds, because King Solomon talked to animals and whatnot. And they was able to do that and block her vision from the sun and stop the sun gazing. I wonder why he did that. You get so much energy from the sun, right, Solomon? Why would you want to stop her from sun gazing? Why would you want to? But these are why you ask questions of what's going on around here. Because things is going on. And you need to ask the proper questions and stop following assholes. With that said, rant one out.